great. Good to see you.
You've become international.
That's crazy.
It's great.
Hi, Kelly. How are you? Hello, everyone. Linda, and I'm doing my romper room. Welcome again. Hello. Happy Thursday.
I'm excited I could be here. I think this is my first one this year.
Yeah, we haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, it's been kind of crazy.
Yes, life has been a little insane. We're living in the twilight zone at the moment. Gonna give it a couple more minutes. And I'm gonna open the chat. And I'm going to post a handout, a link to a handout for everybody in the chat. Oops, that's not the one that I want to add. Hang on a second. Uh, Drive, here we go. Um, let's see if I can remember. Share, here we go. Share, copy the link. Done, okay. All right, so there's a resource in the messages if you guys want to click on it. I've shared it with everyone. Hopefully it opens with no problem and you'll print it out. Okay. So I guess we can get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Art Teachers Art Club. Um, I love when I actually get to work with you guys and teach my own lesson because I love teaching grown-ups who want to be here. So this is going to be fun. And I'm not sure if any of you are from NYSADA, the New York State Art Teachers Association. You're welcome, Nina. But I'm teaching this workshop live at the Museum of Art and Design in Columbus Circle in New York City on Saturday. So that should be fun. I don't know if anybody's going to be here and there at the same, well, doing both workshops, live and recorded. Um, but this is a project that I learned last year and it has become an absolute obsession for me. So, the way to keep my hands busy and um I don't know, it's just every single one is different and it's become almost a meditative practice. So when you come home from work and you want to sit in front of the TV and keep your hands busy, it's a great way to do it. Um okay, so I'm going to switch my camera to my desktop so that you guys can follow my handwork. Um, Hopefully, this is right in front of my camera, but okay. So good. All right. So, the first thing that you're going to want to do is to lay your backing fabric down first. Okay, let me admit all. Sorry, this is the hard part of running this myself is that I have to manage the waiting room and the chats. So, okay. If anybody has a question, just take off, put your mic on and just stop me because it's easier that way than for me to check the messages at the moment. So, you have your backing fabric.
Do we want it right side up or right side down?
You want the good side down because you're going to be layering this on top. So the back, you want it to be whatever you want to see on the back side. You know what? Let me show you since we're doing this. The resources that I've given you guys have the background information on Kawandi quilting in general, the history and all of that stuff. This is one that I have just finished. It is approximately 30 inches by maybe 15 inches. And I don't know if any of you follow, if you're friends with me on Facebook, but I have been posting pictures of my cat, Zoe, who has she adopted this quilt before I even finished it. Now, she's one of my 3 cats, my fur babies, who is not a lap cat at all, ever. And there's something magical about this finished quilt because while I was working on it, she would gently and slowly climb into my lap while I'm working on it. And she kind of adopted this quilt before it was even done. And now, when I'm working on other things, she'll stand there waiting for me or looking straight at me. And she's like, could you lay the quilt down for me, please? And I'll come sit in your lap. So I take the quilt out and I lay it on my lap. And sure enough, she comes and sits on my lap. So I don't know what her connection with this is, but she fell in love with it. And it's hers now. So I don't know if you can see this, if everybody can see this. Kawandis are addicting primarily because of how easy they are. It's only 1 stitch. And if you're a sewer or sewist, this is called the running stitch. And it's basically your up, down, and it's done in concentric squares or rectangles, depending on the shape of your piece that you're making. So it's really super, super easy. And the backing is also really cool because you can see, keep track of if you're, whether it's even or not. And the other good thing about this is that the beauty of this quilt is that it doesn't have to be perfect. The more wonky it is, actually, the better it kind of looks. And there are some spaces, I don't know if you can tell, where the edges of the fabric are not sewn down and they flap up. And that is very easily remedied. Once you're finished, you can go in with a very thin thread and just whip stitch all those loose little flaps down if it bothers you. It bothers me, so I usually go in and I do that. But I didn't do that because I wanted you all to see what it looks like without everything sewn down. So this is one, I think this was I want to say 12th or 13th that I've made. This is the biggest one that I've made so far. I started with the 12 by 12 and I kind of graduated from there. So that's my history with this. And I learned how to do this, oddly enough, on someone else's workshop. It was a multi-teacher workshop through Zen Stitching. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that teacher online, but that's where I learned it and continued with it. And I just felt, like I said, I fell in love with this process. So my base fabric is down with the good side. If there was a pattern on it, the pattern would face the table. And so the bad side would be facing up. And then you center your batting right in the middle, like so. And then you're going to, this is how I've kind of adapted my method to it. So what you want to do is fold over the backing onto the batting from the center of each side and just pin it in place. And I started these with regular head pins, but because I take this with me back and forth to school or wherever I travel with this, it's safer for the pins to not fall out. So I started using the quilting pins, safety pins. So once you pin one edge down, you're going to go to the opposite side to make sure that opposite sides are down well, and pin that. And then you're going to turn and do the two opposite sides and pin the center down first. Again, if anyone has any questions, just take yourself off speaker and let me know. Just shout it out. Well, don't shout it, but just say so. Okay, now I'm going to do the other side. I'm going to move this down a little bit so that you guys can see the bottom part. Okay. And make sure that your batting is flat and smooth. Okay. Now I had kind of pulled out a whole bunch of small pieces of fabric that I have. So this is kind of going to be a very loud little quilt with a lot of happy fabrics. These are the joyful colors that I like to use. And most often I like to put the same piece of fabric in all four corners. Just for me, it feels balanced that way, or at least, you know, the diagonal opposites have the two sames and the other diagonals have, but you can do whatever you want and start with whatever fabric in the corner that you like. And I think I'm going to pull out and start with this one. The other thing is you're starting with small pieces. If the bigger they are, the less fabric you're going to use. I tend to use pieces. Let me see if I can measure this real quick. I don't like to go bigger really than 3 by 3 square, and you can make them rectangular. I kind of just eyeball it, and I cut myself a rectangle or a square. And this is not a good scissor for fabric. We'll switch it up. Okay. Yes, so as I was saying, you start in the four corners or a corner. And what you want to do is to make sure that your corners are not lumpy. You want it to lay down flat. So if any of you know about wrapping presents, you kind of want to just, I can't tell if you guys are seeing this, but there's more people in the waiting room, I think. Okay, so Linda Conti does these already. All right. So you're going to flatten out these corners. Can you guys see this? Let me see if I can. Is it too bright, the lighting?
You have it's kind of glary and everything is white around your
Okay,
fingers.
hold on. I'm trying to lower the light. Maybe if I lower this light, is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm taking the two corners here, and then I'm basically flattening the top down
Oh,
so that it creates a flat flap, if that makes any sense. This way. I don't know if you guys can see that. But you want it the least bulky as possible. And then I should have done this first. Okay, so when you are quilting, you want to make sure that you have the good side up with your fabric. And you're going to fold over two of the sides with a finger press and create a 90-degree angle. So I'm going to use my fingernails to press down here, and I'm going to turn it 90 degrees and finger press the other edge. And then I'm going to put the two perpendicular folded sides directly on the edge of that backing so that it lines up exactly with the corner and the two sides. And then I'm going to pin this in place. So that it does not move. Now, the person who, I believe her name is Jen Strausser, and she works out of Gotham Quilts in New Jersey, which is an online store. She was the one who taught this in that online workshop. She kind of adds the pieces of fabric as she goes. I like to pin a whole side first so I can just go straight through when I'm stitching. So basically, I'm going to pick my next fabric and cut a piece and lay it right down. And I like to work with contrasts so that the two pieces of fabric kind of don't fight each other, but they work together. So I'm going to cut my next piece. And you're always going to do the finger press on two perpendicular sides, because that's always going to go over the previous piece of fabric to cover the raw edge. Does anybody have any questions? No, I don't think so. Did everybody get the reference that I put the link in for? If not, I'm going to, while I'm looking at this, I'm going to just put the link in again for anybody that came in late. Everyone. Okay, there we go. All right, so you're going to take your folded edge and make sure the folded edge goes over the raw edge of the previous piece, maybe by 1/4 inch, and line it up along the edge of your batting and pin that down as well. So you continue this all the way across one side, or you can do the whole perimeter if you want, so that once you get sewing, you don't have to stop. Is everybody working along with me, or are you guys watching? I'm curious.
I'm working.
I'm
Anybody else?
working.
Okay, so do you want to line up one whole side with your fabrics and then we'll do the sewing?
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Okay, so let's all do
Yes.
that and go all the way across at least one side, and then I'll show you how to get started with the stitching. Okay, I'm gonna pick from my fabrics.
Steph, can I just ask a question?
Sure, of course.
What age group do you do this with?
I have done this with adults. I have done it with a few students in my art club classes, and I teach high school. So I haven't done it with a class of students yet in school, but I've done it in the art club.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Contrast.
I wanted to ask a question. The
Sure.
folded edge, which
Yeah.
side does it go on?
It depends on which way you work. I work from right to left. So when you put your first piece down, the folded edge has to be lined up with the outer edge of the backing and the batting. And then the next piece will cover the raw edge, which is on, well, for me, I actually just realized my screen is reverse of my hands, but if you're working from right to left, the raw edge from the first piece is on my left. So then I would put the fold of the new piece covering that raw edge. So your raw edge is never exposed. It's always covered and overlapped by the next piece as you go. I wonder if I can fiddle this. This is so strange. How do I? Oh, no. I don't know why this is doing that, but this is upside down for me, or flip side. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to take my next piece and do another fold or finger press. Did Sue Murphy finally make it in the room? I know she was struggling with the connection. Is she here? Sue, are you here? Oh, I guess she gave up. Okay. Now, when you get to the point where you're up to your halfway, your pin from the halfway point, you could take that out and then repin all the layers together with that same pin. And then just keep going. All right. And I'm going to pick my next color. Okay. And layer this one here. And pin that down. Okay. And let's find one more. I'm going to do blue. think this is the most fun part for me, is laying out the fabrics and seeing what goes with what. I really enjoy doing this part.
Me too.
Yeah. Because you get to, this is such a great way to play with all your fabrics. I mean, if you're like me and mom, we are fabric collectors. I'm not even going to say hoarders, collectors.
Fabricaholics.
Oh my God. And I love fabric stores are like candy stores for me. And art supply stores, obviously. So even if you never use a lot of your fabrics, this is a great way to actually get to use them in a small project. So I'm going to put this piece to match the four corners. And I think I'm going to move everything over a little bit so that I have more room. On the other end for more of the blue fabric. And as you go, you may find that you want to change your fabric or adjust the position, and that's perfectly fine. This is such an easy method, and it kind of goes fast once you really get into it and everything is all laid out. The other fun part is deciding what color thread you want to use. Do you want your thread to stand out, or do you want it to blend in and almost be invisible? For me, the stitching is almost part of, it's almost as important as the fabric.
Definitely.
Yeah, seeing your stitches. And also, the more you do this, the better your stitching becomes. And I like small stitches. Mom likes her stitches bigger. So it depends on how much visibility you want for your stitches. Everything is, it's totally up to you. Everything is it's all personal choice. Okay, so here is my other piece. My final piece for this side. Okay. The final piece, well, the piece on the corner, you might have to do 3 sides folded because it's a corner piece. So you need to have a cover for this edge here, a cover for the backing, and the other right corner of the backing. So your corner piece, you're going to want to fold down 3 of the 4 sides. And then watch don't get your backing too chunky, if possible. And then lay this down. Oops. There we go. So I have a folded side covering the last piece of fabric, also folded side along the edge of the backing, and then the perpendicular side as well. And I'm going to pin that in place. So I have finished my first side. And now the hard part is deciding on my thread color. And originally I thought yellow. Now I'm just thinking pink or green, and I'm not sure. And these are all different kinds of sashiko thread that you can get online. You can also use embroidery thread without separating the strands. So if you have embroidery thread that you like, you can keep it whole. You know, when you embroider, you sometimes separate the strands into 2 or 3 strands. I was gonna do yellow. Now I have to take a look at what I've done. Just give me 1 second. So I have this embroidery thread, which is variegated. This company dyes their own stuff. It's called Norgrove Enterprises.
How do you spell it?
It's reverse for you. It's Norgrove Enterprises. I get this thread off of Etsy, and they dye their own, and they have all kinds of cool names for their threads. So I'm not sure if I don't want to do the green. Yellow or pink? What do you guys think?
I vote pink so you can see it on the yellow backing.
Ah, good idea. Okay, so let's do the pink. Okay, so you're going to thread your needle at this point, and here's my little needle book. Still have my thread in it from the blue quilt that Zoe adopted. Okay. You don't want to put too much thread on your needle because it will fray as you go. And you're only going to use it single strand. If you're using a nice heavy, you should be using a heavier thread anyway. So a single strand is fine. And you're going to put a small knot on the other end. Okay, now where possible, and sometimes this is hard for me, you want to hide your knots. As you can see on the back of my blue quilt, my knots kind of show up in places, not a lot of them, because you want to hide your knots if you're able as best you can. So when you start, you're going to start on top and go between the first fabric layer and the whole backing, so that your knot is hidden inside and it's invisible. And you're going to come up on the very, very edge of your fabric, because in order for this to hold together very well, you're going to be stitching really, really close to the edge of your fabric. Okay, so here I'm knotted inside and I'm totally lined up with my edge. And I'm going to simply use the running stitch and go up and down along the edge of the fabric. So I am basically securing those layers together. This is how close I am to the edge. Can you guys see that?
Did
So
you
I'm
say
going to
deep
do
in it,
this
or-
all the way across, and make sure if you have any of the folded pieces that are sticking out, as you go, that you tuck them in so they're not visible when you are stitching that together. And I'll show you when I come to the next one. So you're basically going up and down all the way across the side. If you are a comfortable sewist, some of us find it easier to load up your stitches on the needle and do a couple at a time rather than up and down, up and down. So you can do that if your fabric is not too thick and it allows for it. It's also less hand movements. Can you see my stitching right there? Does anybody have a question? Lisa, it's like a crazy quilt. Yeah, it's kind of like a crazy quilt. You can actually, once you get your rhythm and your familiarity with the process, you can use any shapes you want because they're all going to get stitched down with the concentric lines as you go through it. Admit one more person. All right.
What kind of a needle are you using?
I'm using an actual sashiko needle, which I also got from Amazon. One of the brands I believe is Tulip. But if you go on Amazon and you search sashiko needle, you'll get a whole bunch of choices, and I tend to select the Japanese ones because those are made for, because I also do sashiko stitching. So I tend to stock up on sashiko needles.
Would you say that they are sharper than other kinds of needles?
They're sharper and stronger, yeah.
Yeah, because I still have the pliers by my side to pull the needle through sometimes because it just doesn't go through easily.
It depends on your fabrics. Sometimes when you don't use cotton fabrics, it's harder to pull the needle through, depending,
What
what.
I have is cotton. I
What?
think I only use cotton, but I think it's how many layers you're going through.
Yeah. It also depends on the batting that you use. Sometimes it dulls the if it's not cotton, it could dull your needle.
Yep.
Okay, so here is my example when I'm overlapping two pieces and the bottom piece might show a little bit underneath the new piece. I'm just going to use my needle to tuck it under
Yeah.
a little bit so that it hides before I do my next stitch so that that is not sticking out or visible. And so that stitch, and sometimes the frustrating thing is that you get knotted up, but be gentle and don't pull it tight. It's easier to take the knot out. So now that that's tucked under and stitched, it won't stick out anymore. So you do that every time you come to the overlap and make sure that the bottom piece is hidden under the new piece. Does anybody have any questions? Am I stitching through the batting on each stitch? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. When you're doing this first layer, you want to catch the batting, but if the batting isn't cut or laid in perfectly straight and lined up, you'll miss the batting and just get the fabric, but that's okay because as you go around, you'll definitely catch the batting. It's the edge. If the batting is not completely at the edge with the backing fabric, you might miss it, and that's okay. It's still in there. Anybody else have any questions? while we're going? Okay, so we'll just keep on going. I love seeing the fabrics that everybody uses. And then sometimes I get jealous because they have great fabric. So you want to try to keep the size of your stitches consistent. And then as you go around and around, you'll want to keep your lines as parallel as you can. Although if you end up wobbling a little bit, that's normal too. Because I think I learned when my mother started quilting, she referred to the Amish. I think it's the Amish who do the quilting, that they always intentionally make a mistake
Yes,
because only God is perfect.
yes.
So if there are wonky stitches, it's okay. It proves that we are human.
And you don't have to be Amish.
Well, doesn't mean you have to be Amish. It's just, perfection is, sometimes overrated. I love that these are hand stitched. And yes, you can totally do these on a machine. But I love hand stitching.
Steph, you had a question pop up that asked where you got all of your great fabrics.
Oh my God. All of my great fabrics. Where do I get all my great fabrics? Sometimes in my travels, I come across a fabric store and I just go in. I inherited many from my mother, who has been clearing out her stash for years. And she gives me, first rights to whatever she's getting rid of. Believe it or not, I found once where were we? I think we were in Virginia, and we stopped in an antique store or one of those thrift stores,
Mm-hmm.
and they sell fabric swatches and, bunches of old people get rid of fabric all the time. It's like I just collect them, and Joann's always has great sales if you go into their stores. They're kind of in an upheaval right now, but they always have sales on their fat quarters. So I grab like fat quarters, like $1.99 or even cheaper sometimes, and I grab fat quarters of really fun, cool fabrics or whatever mood I'm in that day. Like if I'm in a pink mood or a blue mood, I'll grab a whole bunch of those fat quarters and then I'll just put them in my stash. But and in New York, this was the best fabric find I ever had. We have this company called Materials for the Arts, which is like Vivian, yes. They have great fabrics, although in the place it's usually more furniture type fabric. But I was at a workshop at the Jamaica Center for the Arts, and Materials for the Arts came and did a shopping event that day at the JCal Center in Jamaica. And there was this entire stash of African fabrics, hand printed, and I grabbed them. I kept eyeing them and hoping nobody else would see them. And as soon as they let us loose, I ran over and I stuffed them in my bag so no one else could have them because they were absolutely gorgeous. and I actually used them in a quilt that I made for my brother and his girlfriend. They were so gorgeous, these fabrics. And everything that you get, if you're a New Yorker, if you're in New York City and you know about Materials for the Arts, it's all free. It's an organization, nonprofit, that is like the receiving end of donations from companies of all kinds, who are getting rid of all of their extra stuff that they don't want. And people are always donating, like from printing companies that get rid of paper, and like blank books that are made as samples, and bolts of fabric, and buttons and thread, and furniture and equipment. And it's an amazing resource for us poor art educators to go. And I go at least twice a year with my school librarian. um, it's our fun field trip to go get free stuff. It's amazing. I've been collecting little cardboard kids books, little board books, because I want to do a refurbished book project with my students, and I want each of them to have a board book. So I've been grabbing those and collecting them for a while, so I have enough for all my students. What else have I gotten from there? For some reason, they have a huge stock of legal size paper at 8.5 by 14 in all different colors. Tons and tons of it. Oh, they also have hand sanitizer and masks ever since COVID. Last time I was there, also, a retired art teacher or her family must have donated all of her books, because there were like 3 shelves of art books in one place. And I grabbed a whole bunch of those also, for not for just for myself, but for also my classroom. Okay, there's a message here. Let's see. Oops. Materials for the arts. And Michelle says, I get wonderful fabric for $7 a yard from a quilting store in Vegas. On Saturday nights, they have a YouTube live sale, and it's a family-run quilt store called So Yeah Quilting. Is it like an online auction kind of a thing? You don't actually have to be in Vegas?
It's not an auction. They just go on YouTube and they show fabric, and you put a number, whatever number they call out, you put it in, and if they have enough, they'll start you an invoice,
Oh, wow.
and then they send you an invoice through your email. You pay it, and then they ship it to you.
Oh, that sounds so dangerous.
It it is, but they do everything from charm packs to jelly rolls, 5 yards at a time. They do 108 backings.
Oh my gosh. That sounds
And
very dangerous.
if you go to that website, it'll have a space on there where it says how to buy during the live sale.
Oh, well, I just opened the link, so I'll take a look after we're done here. But if I get in trouble, I'm going to blame you.
You go right ahead. I'll take the blame, but
Okay.
it's very high quality fabric. I was very skeptical at first, but after my first order, I had, no doubt.
You were hooked. Oh my.
Yeah, and I even went so far to buy 2 10 packs of fat quarters to get raffle tickets. Sometime later this month, they are raffling off 3 $6,500 sewing machines.
Wait, 3 what?
$6,500 sewing machines.
Oh my God.
But of
What
course,
kind of
the
sewing
raffle's
machine?
sold out now. You can't get tickets for this one.
Well, good luck to you.
Thank you. But they do these raffles on a regular basis. So,
Oh boy.
and the
Kind of
best part,
sewing machine costs that much money? Goodness.
well, one of them could be a long armor. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah. The best part about it is it's two brothers, a sister, and her husband that do it, and it's more entertaining than anything. So just check it out. And
I
if
will.
if you get hooked, blame me. I don't care.
Thank you. Oh, that sounds amazing.
Remember that
Collect
fabric
enough, we
store
could have our own fabric swap between us.
Remember the fabric store we discovered in Massachusetts on the way home?
Yes, yes, there was I was visiting my aunt and uncle for Thanksgiving in Massachusetts, and on the opposite in the parking lot that our hotel shared with a strip mall, there was a fabric store. And of course, once my friend told me about it, I had to go in, and we got lost for like 2 hours before we went home because we were just going through all the fabrics, and they had this giant table full of buttons about a foot deep that you could like you felt like you wanted to dive into and just play in the buttons. It was hilarious. And I got a lot of gorgeous fabric that day too.
And I spent $100 when I said I was never buying fabric again.
Yes, you who are supposed to be getting rid of,
Yep,
but that's what we do.
I'm using those now.
You can never have too much fabric or too many art supplies, I say.
It's true. You know that saying, whoever dies with the most fabric wins? That's what the quilters say.
There was another meme that I've seen recently, something about having too many art supplies is only dangerous for the person that points it out, or something to that effect.
I think I saw that.
Yeah, that was just pretty funny. How are we doing, everyone? Are we almost done with our first side?
I haven't finished pinning it yet.
Oh, look at you, Sandra. Is it stitched? Oh, wow.
Mine's stitched. I'm not so sure it's great, but it's stitched.
That's okay. You're rocking it. I'm almost done. I have a little bit more to go. So once you turn your first corner, you could start laying out your fabrics for the next side, and then just keep on going.
So Steph, you want to do all the way around your edges first and then start building the middles?
Yes, you do not skip around. This is built layer by layer around from the outside. You work from the outside in,
Okay.
basically. So you finish one layer and one row around the whole edge, and then you start pinning your second row in and overlap the raw edges the same way. So you would want to go all the way around and come back to where you started, and then do your next basic, your square that overlaps the tops of these pieces. Does that make sense?
Yes.
do this workshop for the next conference in November that I have. Been thinking about it. Is anybody going to the NAEA conference next month in, I think it's Kentucky?
Okay, wow.
No? All right, almost coming around the corner. All right, I'm going to stop stitching and then put in my next fabrics. Let's see. Mhm. Purple. I'm going to do a purple stripe. How are we doing on time? Oh, it's almost 8. I lose all sense of time when I'm doing this. Get into that flow state and nothing else matters. Okay. So I'm going to pin this guy down. And then I'm going to put this. I love this fabric, and this is the last piece that I have of it. Maybe I should save it for the middle. No, I don't want to save it. I love the artist Mary Engelbright and her fabrics. Hello, Zoe.
Uh-oh, she's adopting another one.
Oh my gosh, she just sat down on the one I'm working on now. Oh my gosh. Zoe, she's hilarious.
She wants all of them, not just one.
Oh my God. Maybe it's just she wants total attention. Zoe,
And
what are
she
you
likes the
doing?
soft sweet.
You want to say hello to everybody? She's flopped half. Oh, now she's curling up in the pile of fabric. You're so silly. What are you doing? And she's purring like crazy. Honey, I need to see my fabrics. Oh boy.
Better be careful or she'll get her tail sewed in.
Yeah. It's so hilarious. Come here, you. Come on. I need to get in there. Thank you. You're going to be famous now. You're on video. Silly. The amount of cat hair I have to clean up every time she's on the quilt is hilarious. Do you guys have pets too that are absolutely insistent on being involved in your projects? I can't be the only one with pets who have to be in your business all the time.
Did anybody answer you?
No. Oh yes, Vivian typed, excuse me. She has 2 cats and yes, they do good, so I'm not alone. Yes, I'm talking about you, pretty girl. Erica says her husky is here trying to see what you're doing. Oh, good. uh, I wonder if dogs try to curl up in your lap while you're working the same way cats do. Do they? I was just, yeah, Stacy says my dog lays on top of anything I'm crocheting, usually while I'm working. Okay, so it's all critters and creatures. Maybe it's the warmth. I don't know.
I wonder if pet birds do it.
Pet birds.
One of the women in my knitting club has a bird. I forget what kind of bird, but it talks. And I'll have to ask
Parrot?
her if she sits on her shoulder. That's where she goes, on her shoulder while she's knitting.
I had a cat that did that.
Yeah.
Yep. My Simba used to sit on my shoulder everywhere I went.
He didn't fall off.
No. He would hold on. I think I like this hot pink here. Yeah.
Steph, I put in the chat the form for the CTLE credit.
Oh, thanks, Mary Beth. If anybody wants to click the link for the CTLE credit and just make sure that it's open and accepting while Mary Beth is here. Just let us know.
Yeah, it looks like it's working. People are putting their information in. Just certificates will go out tomorrow. If you do not receive yours, please check your junk email. we get a lot of messages that people didn't receive their certificates and then it ends up in their junk. So
Perfect. Thank you. Are you making, Mary Beth, or are you just watching?
I'm actually watching and working on some school stuff. We do a big Art Madness competition, and I'm working on that Google form right now.
Oh, always something to do for school.
Always, even with a snow day today.
Oh, at least you had one. They didn't give us one. All this craziness to set up remote and it's never used. And we didn't even get snow. I mean, by the time I woke up, it was gone.
A lot of Long Island districts had late starts today.
Okay, back to my corner piece. Next week's project is going to be fun also. My friend Melissa Birnbaum is going to be doing the squash book with us, which I've always wanted to do.
No idea what that is.
It's a book that kind of explodes when you open it into lots of different panels in different directions.
Hmm.
It's made with triangles, I think. So that should be fun. And then we're on vacation. Okay. Pinning down my corner piece. I don't suppose anybody's gone all the way around yet, have you?
I'm still pinning one side too. I'm so slow.
Okay. It's not a race. Okay, now I'm going to go back and stitch this side. I guess Renee was off her lunch break and she had to go back to teaching. I still find it amazing that we have people from around the planet, Australia. I had people from England. It's so great. What was the name of the types of needles? Oh, Tulip, I think is the brand. But if you go onto Amazon and search Sashiko needles, that should pop up as an option.
I'm going to do that.
Well, Nina was asking. So they come in a little box, kind of origami folded, and inside the box is a little tube with 8 needles. I think it's 8 inside. You're welcome. Anyone who is going to my live workshop at the museum on Saturday is going to get a whole kit to take home with supplies.
Ooh, how exciting.
Yes, everybody gets a little parting gift to continue working on their little creation. The quiet group today. Guess everybody's focused or busy.
If you can get this with the kids in school, isn't that fantastic?
Oh, I would love it.
If they would be so quiet and focused.
I might try it with them. I've been trying to decide all year if it's something I want to do with them or not. I'm actually starting weaving with them as a next project, and mosaics as a next project. Half my classes are doing weaving, half are doing mosaics.
You probably wouldn't do it with all of them, but you could pick the best kids that could be trusted with needles,
I'm not worried about needles.
that they don't stab each other.
No, they don't do that. Oh.
Stacy agreed. Stacy wrote that her elementary students are always so quiet when they do weaving. Mine are as well. And I teach K-12 and I'm teaching a high school fabrics class right now.
Uh-huh.
It is so silent that I'm like, okay, somebody pull up your playlist and blast some music because it's just like it's almost like too eerily quiet where I'm like, we need something going on here. But I think everybody's just trying to concentrate and not stab themselves. So
I'm curious to see how it plays out. I'm doing the weaving. My first period class is very, very difficult only because 3/4 of the class dribbles in late all period long. So it's very difficult to teach a lesson that way, with them constantly coming in and coming in late, and I can't restart, every time somebody comes in. So I figured weaving is a good, I could put the videos, you know, instructional videos up on Google Classroom, and they can kind of navigate themselves through that when they come in late, and then work it as they come in. So I thought I would try it with them. And then I have a very high energy other class during the day that just, they're very difficult to manage. They're good kids, but they just like can't sit still. So I was going to try this with them, the weaving rather, and see how they do with that. They're hard to also impress. So we're going to see how that goes. And I'm going to make trying out different stitches a requirement for their project. I'm going to do it on a cardboard loom. And then I'm also, I don't know if you guys remember, I did one of these sessions where my friend Pat did weaving on wood and leaving it as an artwork on the wood. So I wanted have them do that as well, so they don't take it off the loom, and one that they do take off the loom, and see how they manage that.
We're gonna do that, the one that we did in the session here with my fiber arts class as well. And last summer I went and collected a bunch of really cool like pieces of driftwood and stuff for them to weave on.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad that you're actually using these ideas.
Is that one in the archive, the weaving on the wood?
Yes, it is.
That sounds really cool. I'd love to see that one.
It's wonderful, and the pieces just look like little gorgeous, I don't know, jewels, you know, and you can also put beads, little beads into them. They're small, very small, like, I don't know, 2 inches by 5 inches pieces of wood, and you just hammer the nails in, and you leave it all put together on the wood, and then you can stitch in beading, and they're like tiny little gems that are beautiful. So you could leave those as like wall hangings, whereas the ones on the cardboard you take off as a tapestry off the board. What grade do you teach? Who was that who was speaking?
I have third, fourth, fifth, and seventh.
Oh, so they could definitely do this. You
Yeah,
just be careful with hammering the nails, that's all.
maybe pre-hammering the nails for them.
Yeah. Depending on how it's tough sometimes because we make more work for ourselves, but you want them to experience these things, right? So we all have to gauge if we have to pre-hammer or pre-string or whatever. But the end results are worth it. When these are finished, you could leave them as wall hangings, or, you know, like placemat, or you could mount them on a backing and frame it and put it on a wall. Or you can put loops on them and hang them from a dowel. There's so many different ways you could present the finished ones of these. Oh, it's 8:20. Wow. Time flies.
That is quick.
Well, we could go another 5 minutes, and then I'd love to see what everyone else has done.
I'm still pinning.
Yes. Mom. Uh, don't bring this one to the workshop on Saturday, Mom.
Okay,
You're gonna have to start again.
it's all right. Is it going to be the same size and
Yes, 12 inches.
yeah. Did I bring any fabric?
No, everything is gonna be provided for you
Excellent.
unless you must have your own.
No,
Steph, I know this is going to be all in your handout that you gave us as well, but roughly how far do you stitch apart, like half inch when you're getting into like the next rows, and or do you just go all the way up to the top of the next fabric?
Oh, no, no, you
Like a
have
half
to stitch
so?
through, I separate each row by about half an inch.
Yep. Okay, half inch.
Yeah,
That's
so
yep.
each piece will be stitched through at least 2 or 3 times before the next row, I
Yeah.
think.
And then
again,
once you hit that middle piece, the only thing you do different then would just be to fold over all four edges of the middle piece, correct?
right, and
Yep.
that's called the belly.
Got it.
And sometimes you want your belly to be like a
oh,
special piece of fabric, or like something, if you have fabric that has like a design that could be a focal point, you could cut it out specifically to be the middle piece.
Yeah, I'm thinking if I did this with my fiber arts class right now, I would have them maybe do like a little embroidery on the middle of a piece or something,
You could do that too.
and then have them use that as a focal point.
Yeah. So you could teach them stitches, maybe do like a little flower, or I don't
Mhm.
know. Um,
They're doing a big embroidered portrait right now, so they'll have enough stitches down by the time they get to that.
oh, that's cool. My kids are afraid of sewing. Traditionally, um, when the Kawandi is ready for that centerpiece, they put some rice into it as, as a symbol of luck, and it's sewn in there so that symbolically nobody goes hungry. Um, that's all, that information is in there in that handout for you guys. I didn't want to spend too much time going over the handout because then we wouldn't have, had practical making time. And I finished my second side. So I want to I'm going to switch my camera back actually to my face. Hey, now you can see how low my light was. There we go. And I would love to see, can I show you a finished one again? Yes, absolutely. I will. I would like to see everybody's work. And if you don't mind, I would love to take a picture of everybody holding up their work. So this is mine so far, with 2 sides done. And let me give everybody a chance to hold up. Everybody who did one, please hold it up. Fabulous. Ah, perfect. Thank you. And here is the finished one that I have. This is how big it is. Yeah.
how many inches long is it? 18?
No, let me see, let me measure. It's about 32 inches long
Oh,
by 17 inches short. So this is Zoe's quilt. And I could show you another one. This one, I love this one. You could see that I have matted it. I've put it on a backing. And this one's called Purple Rain. I kind of did one for every color of the rainbow. And you could see this one in the center. The design is kind of symmetrical, so I made it part of that middle piece. Let me see if I did that with anything else. Here's a black, white, and red one that I did. And the middle has a bird in the center from that fabric. So there's so many possibilities, you know.
can I
just
show
go-
one?
Sorry?
Can I show one of mine?
Sure. You can make a whole set of placemats this way too.
Here's my fish one.
I love your fish one
Yeah.
with that's all the batik fabric. That's beautiful.
And
I have
well,
a
I
very special place in my heart for batik fabrics. They're just so yummy. That's pretty too. Look at that. And you
they're
can
all
totally see
really
those
quiet.
stitches vibrate.
The yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I might as well show all of them. They're in a pile.
That's gorgeous. So you could see we have become obsessed with these. I mean, they're just so,
This was my first one.
yeah. I love the colors in that one.
Me too.
Oh, yummy. That's gorgeous too, those colors. Move it closer because I want to see the middle, the belly of it. Hold it up. Yeah, so she cut out that design piece as a central focal point. Beautiful.
And this one has a very interesting belly.
Closer, closer. Ah, the window with the birds. And they're all different and they're all so beautiful. And it's such a great way to use your stash. It really, really is. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Sandra, how you doing? I still can't believe you're still at school. Oh, I love it. You're doing plaids and flowers. I love, and they're so poofy.
Oh, where is it? Let's see.
Wait, Sandra, hold it up again. How many layers of batting are you using? Or did you just,
Just one really, really thick one. I have found some leftover in my storage room over here from our Ugly Doll project. So actually it's not horribly thick when it finally gets sewn down, but it's nice and padded.
yeah, it looks almost like they're little pillows. They're little bubbles.
Uh-huh.
I love that. That
Mhm.
looks great.
Thank you.
Oh, I would love to see if you guys finish these. I'd love for you to email me pictures of your finished ones. That would great. Or post it on the Facebook page where you found us. So this
How
was
many
awesome and
people,
very peaceful, and I hope you found it enjoyable and
how many people
meditative.
are
And
here?
what, Mom?
How many people are here in the group?
We are 12, but I think we were about 18 when we started.
Oh, we lost some. Okay.
Well, that's okay. People
Mm.
have things to do. It's a weeknight. So thank you for joining us tonight. I hope to see you again next week. Like I said, it's squash book time. And then in March, I have a session where we're going to do caning with polymer clay and maybe apply that to an object like a box, or Jill uses light switch plates to put her pieces on. Then I have a general speaker on a different day, not on a Thursday, doing classroom art for ELL students. And then in April, I have Tim Needles doing a STEAM project with us right out of his newly published book. So
Steam? What is STEAM?
STEAM is science, technology, something arts, and blah, 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 blah. But
Oh, music probably.
it's a school term.
Yeah.
But he's also on the board of NYSADA with me. Very, very, very smart man. Does a lot of traveling and presenting his stuff. So that'll be really cool. And then, stay tuned. We've got good things coming down. So have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your evening. And again, thank you for joining. And please send me your finished pictures. All right. Good to see you and hopefully see you next week. Have a good weekend.
Steph, see ya.
Bye.
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 Bye. Thank you.
You're
Good night.
welcome. Bye.
Night.